being active and playing 4 games and then not, and like not feeling the best, and then like frustrated of like how hard I worked in the off season, and then like all I do is rehab and like continue to do this process, and just like trying to trust that the best I can. And obviously there's really frustrating days, and there's days where like it's a little bit easier and like you're very, very motivated and like you're close to the finish line of getting back and being back, and then like it's not like I have a training camp to like build up to like playing my first game again. It's like, no, like you're tossed into game 30. Like,
imagine the WNBA waking up to the nightmare headline. Their brightest star has an expiration date hand. It reads 2026. Whispers from insiders paint a doomsday scenario for Caitlin Clark's future. And the league's reaction looks like someone just told them coffee was outlawed. From shocking insider chatter to jaw-dropping speculation. This isn't just another sports headline, it's full-blown chaos draped in basketball shorts. Strap in, because this story might be wilder than a triple overtime buzzer beater.
If everyone can stop the pearl clutching for just a minute, and I say that as a turn of phrase, not because it's women's basketball, you'd realize this is the best thing imaginable for this league. And listen, I said this back when Caitlin was at Iowa, and everyone was, I thought, being overly protective of her, and I thought a lot of that had to do with like, oh, this little white girl in a black sport. And I was like, man, she is a badass and a trash talker and gives it as good as she gets it.
The WNBA's panic button hasn't just been pre-steets, been smashed into permanent siren mode, and no, it's not because of some blockbuster TV deal or a gravity-defying dunk. It's because the uncomfortable truth is setting in. The one player holding this league together is named Caitlin Clark. Take her out of the equation. And suddenly, the product on the court looks like a bad YouTube reel titled Asterisk, My First Day at Basketball Camp. Asterisk, here's the brutal math. If Caitlin's gone, Cunningham's gone, Hull's gone, I'm gone, you're gone, and the only ones left will be Engelbert's chair and a couple of dusty foam fingers from 1999.
This is something that do not be surprised that President Trump speaks on with that kind of audience that is protective of a Caitlin Clark and what she stands for and what she represents. And they come to a conclusion that they believe she is being unfairly treated. That is going to be a problem for the WNBA. And based on Trump's history with the NFL and him being an obvious sports fan, goes to events and stuff like that, he pays attention to this kind of stuff. I'm just warning them, watch it, because if he gets involved and that base gets involved, because somehow, some way they embrace victimhood on a part of Kate.
Let's be real, the only reason anyone's even pretending to argue about this is because admitting the truth hurts too much. Caitlin Clark is out here playing championship-level chess, while the rest of the league is stuck on a busted game of hungry hippos with half the marbles missing. She's threading passes that shouldn't even exist, draining shots that make physics professors question their careers, and meanwhile, the league is trying to convince us that Angel Rhea is must-watch TV. Angel Rhea, player whose highlight reel looks like it was filmed during a half-speed shoot-around in her cousin's driveway. If that's your golden ticket, congratulations. Just booked yourself a first-class ride straight to a relic.
She is an object of scorn for good reason. She's awesome. She's swaggery. She does turn your home crowd into a road crowd. She is a frustrating player to guard, all of it. And if she is, for some of these teams, a bit of a villain, that's sweet. It only will make her better. She is already one of the 3 or 4 best players in the sport, as a lot of us thought she would be in short order. And sports are best like this.
But here's the twist. The WNBA doesn't even seem interested in protecting Clark. If anything, it's like they've assembled a secret task force, whose sole mission is to make her life miserable. Step 1. Hire referees who moonlight as professional magicians, because they have a knack for making great basketball plays vanish into thin air. These officials have turned WNBA games into something closer to an interpretive dance recital. 1 second, you're watching a perfect assist. The next, you're seeing Caitlin get whistled for a foul that feels more like a karmic penalty for being too good.
I mean, yeah, like I would have loved to win one of them, but Honestly, like, two of my most fun nights in college were after losing the national championship. Like,
Yeah, fair.
we had just as much fun. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, yes, we were sad. We would have
No, I
loved
get
to
it.
win one of
Yeah.
them. And I think I would have loved to win one of them. Not so much because, like, okay, yeah, like, I win one of them. We get, like, a ring, whatever. Like, people celebrate. But, like, honestly, I think people celebrated us just as much as they did if we, didn't win, obviously.
And you could fix this. Sure, it would be drastic, but just fire every single one of these refs and replace them with traffic cones. At least cones don't blow calls, but no, instead, we've got Engelbert sitting in the league office like some high school principal who thinks banning chewing gum will solve every problem. Which brings us to the only logical next step. Fire Engelbert. Fire her twice just to make sure it sticks. And if Adam Silver doesn't step in to make it happen, fire Adam Silver to Dot at this point. Just keep swinging the axe until someone in charge finally realizes that your best player is being sabotaged by pure, unfiltered incompetence.
If everyone can stop the pearl clutching for just a minute, and I say that as a turn of phrase, not because it's women's basketball, you'd realize this is the best thing imaginable for this league. And listen, I said this back when Caitlin was at Iowa, and everyone was, I thought, being overly protective of her, and I thought a lot of that had to do with, like, oh, this little white girl in a black sport. And I was like, man, she is a badass and a trash talker and gives it as good as she gets it. And
And let's quit pretending this is magically going to fix itself. Sure, Caitlin Clark could stay in the WNBA. She could grit her teeth, keep pouring in 30 a night, and watch her ankles get hacked apart by defenders who couldn't stop a folding chair rolling toward the hoop. But why? Why waste the prime of your career in a league that treats you like you're just another jersey number? If she jumped to the EuroLeague, she'd not only make more money, she'd play in an environment where refs don't need Google Maps to locate the rulebook. She'd be respected, protected, paid, and best of all, she wouldn't have to pretend. That Angel Ree is her biggest rival. Because let's be honest, calling that a rivalry has all the competitive fire of a hotel pillow fight. Here's the truth. No one wants to say out loud, the WNBA's overall skill level is embarrassingly low. Sure, there's a handful of players who can hang with Caitlin's speed, vision, and shooting touch. But the rest? There's a reason 90% of social media highlight reels are Caitlin Clark, and the other 10% are bloopers of players tripping over themselves. And yet the marketing machine keeps spinning, desperately selling you Clark versus RE, like it's a can't-miss showdown. Oh yes, let me clear my entire calendar to watch Caitlin casually dismantle someone who's still wrestling with the basics of shooting form. Riveting.
Good news and some bad news for those who are fans of pretend basketball. For those who are desperate to see the WNBA succeed, even though this dump of a league can't seem to get the hell out of their own way. Now, the WNBA, they refer to these people as fans, but the rest of us, we prefer to call them the mainstream media. The good news is, WNBA ratings have been somewhat solid, even though Caitlin Clark has missed damn near the entire season.
Here's the reality. When people want to see elite basketball, they watch the NBA or top-tier college games. They watch the WNBA for exactly two reasons: Caitlin Clark, and occasionally because their remote batteries died and they got stuck. On ESPN2. The league can't handle that truth. So they bury it under layers of forced hype and questionable officiating. And instead of making life easier for their one true superstar, they seem determined to run her through a gauntlet until she either breaks down or walks away. Here's how this ends. It's 2026, the final year before Clark's contract gives her an escape route. She surveys the scene. The refs are still wandering. In the wilderness, Engelbert's still in charge. Adam Silver is still doing whatever Adam Silver does when he's not actively ruining the NBA. All-Star game, and she decides she's had enough. She signs with a EuroLeague team that offers her double the money. Teammates who double as bodyguards, and fans who actually understand they're watching a generational talent. What follows is a meltdown, so bad even the mascots start calling in sick. Ratings nosedive faster than an off-target Reese layup. Ticket sales collapse, and all those shiny press releases about record-breaking growth get replaced by a deafening, awkward silence. ESPN quietly shoves the WNBA back into the 3 a.m. graveyard slot after the Cornhole Championships. And the only conversation left about the league will be people asking, hey, whatever happened to Caitlin Clark?
Playoffs, but she was eliminated, swept in 2 games. But the WNBA, man, these players have been acting like they are victims. Now, Caitlin Clark has brought a whole bunch of eyes to the WNBA. And what do these players actually do? Folks, it has gotten really, really ridiculous, man, in the WNBA, because all these players are screaming racism for the fans. Yes, they are attacking the fans.
Which brings me back to the simplest, most obvious solution. The one we all know will never happen. Fire Engelbert. Fire Adam Silver. Fire every ref who thinks calling a foul on a clean block is maintaining control of the game. Replace them with people who actually understand that Caitlin Clark isn't just the face of the league, she is the league. Without her, the WNBA becomes nothing more than a dimly lit gym full of clunky jump shots and even clunkier marketing campaigns. Sure, maybe they'll get lucky. Maybe Caitlin sticks around out of loyalty or some noble sense of unfinished business. Maybe she decides dragging an entire league up to her level is worth the grind. But if she doesn't tiff, she walks, no amount of spin will hide the truth. The WNBA had the best thing to happen to it in decades, and they let her go, and when the panic hits, they won't be able to say they weren't warned. Picture the day she leaves. The official press release drops. We wish Caitlin well in her future endeavors. Future endeavors, that's PR code for we just lost the golden goose. And now we're staring at an empty nest with a raccoon in it. You can practically hear Engelbert on TV trying to sell it as an opportunity for new stars to emerge, right? Just like replacing LeBron with a guy from the local church league is an opportunity for someone to shine.
And it literally pisses me off when people are like, she's not the face of the league.
Who would be?
What?
Sabrina? No.
No, there's really good, well-known people in our league. I'm not discrediting them. We have a lot of badasses in our league.
Yeah.
Hell yeah to that. I'm all for that. But when people try to argue that she's not the face of our league,
Yeah.
or if our league would be where we're at without her, you're dumb as shit.
Yeah.
You're literally dumb as fuck.
The fans will be furious, no question. Social media will melt down. The WNBA subreddit will read like a UFO conspiracy board, with every thread asking the same thing. Why didn't anyone protect her? And the answers will be obvious to everyone, except the people in charge. Stop letting refs treat her like a piñata at a toddler's birthday party. Stop pretending. Angel Ree is the LeBron of the WNBA when she's closer to that reality TV contestant who got famous for one loud argument. Stop acting like skill doesn't matter when it's the only reason anyone buys a ticket. But here's the issue. This league runs on denial like it's a renewable energy source. And Adam Silver, he's the substitute teacher who sees the class is out of control and just throws on a movie instead of fixing it. We could print the solution on a giant banner and fly it over every WNBA arena, and they'd still ignore it. Now picture Caitlin. In Europe, she steps off the plane and is instantly treated like royalty, fans waving her jersey in the streets, sponsors lining up to write checks so big they need extra zeros just to fit. The referees. Not perfect, and no one is. But at least they're not inventing new fouls just to slow her down. And every night, she's going up against stacked rosters, because the EuroLeague doesn't try to convince you a 35% shooter is a superstar. Over there, if you can't compete, you sit down. Over here, if you can't compete, they give you a nickname and a shoe deal.
Applies to a fresh turd. These numbers without the roof from Waterloo look great. Instead of a freshly baked turd with no activity, there are definitely some flies attracted to this unbelievably bad product. In some cases, I've heard the WNBA even managed to attract a horsefly or two. But WNBA players, they are demanding million-dollar contracts, million-dollar salaries. WNBA players are demanding a larger portion of revenue. Now, notice their demands involve revenue, not profit. If the WNBA implemented a profit-sharing model, the players would be paying.
Meanwhile, back in the WNBA, the new era begins minus Caitlin Clark. Opening night TV ratings. Let's just say you could tally them on a moderately sized abacus. The night's so-called highlight is a banked three-pointer that was clearly an accident, but ESPN still tries to hype it like it's a masterpiece. Asterisk, unbelievable. Asterisk, though even the commentators can't say it with a straight face. Angel Ree is still out here flexing after layups that rattled around the rim 4 times before dropping, and the league's idea of drama is whether someone wore mismatched socks during warm-ups. Sure, technically that's a thing, but nobody's tuning in for that. Then the real spiral begins. Attendance. That first season without Caitlin, entire sections of arenas will sit empty except for Engelbert's friends and the churro guy, who's only there because it's his cousin's job. Season ticket holders will suddenly discover new hobbies, free tickets with every sandwich just to fill seats. Will the WNBA office double down on the hype? We have a new face of the league, they'll proclaim while unveiling a player whose stat line, and within 2 weeks, fans will be asking if she's injured because they still haven't seen her do anything memorable in a game.
Fever basketball team has been hit with several blows, man, this whole season. Caitlin Clark went down early. You even had at one point Sophie Cunningham going down for a little bit. But one thing I can say is that a lot of these players like Kelsey Mitchell, Leah Boston, Natasha Howard stayed the course. You know, when you want to make it to that next level, especially in the second half of the season, going to make an impact all throughout the league, you have to stay the course. And that's it.
Meanwhile, Caitlin's EuroLeague highlights will be lighting up the internet on a weekly basis. Step-back threes from the logo, no-look dimes, through traffic, buzzer beaters, and packed arenas roaring like it's Game 7 of the finals. The kind of plays that remind you why you fell in love with basketball in the first place. And every time one of those clips drops, another chunk of the WNBA's credibility will crumble away. Like watching a sandcastle slowly wash into the ocean, the media will feast on it. This isn't rocket science. You protect your stars. You build around them, and you definitely don't. Let them get so fed up they start Googling best European cities for basketball. But here's the WNBA in a nutshell. They'll see Caitlin's exit not as a catastrophic failure, but as a great opportunity to grow the game internationally. Translation, we can spin this so no one has to admit we blew it. Probably even ship Engelbert to Caitlin's first EuroLeague game, so they can film a promo about building bridges between leagues. And she smile into the camera like she wasn't the one holding the scissors that cut that bridge clean in half.
At this point, I think we all can agree that Caitlin Clark is going to be returning to action, but the question I have for all of you is, how many games do you think she needs under her belt going into playoff time for her to get into the swing of things? You want to see her play nothing in the regular season? First game back, she's in a series against the Phoenix Mercury. First game back, she's in a series against the Atlanta Dream. Do you want to see her play the 5 games remaining in the schedule? There's only 12 games left.
This is why fans are already saying, Etif Clark's gone. They're gone. Cunningham's gone. Hull's gone. Last one out can turn off the lights and maybe, on the way out, they can tape a little note to Engelbert's desk. Asterisk, it didn't have to be this way. Asterisk, of course. The league will pretend not to hear it. They'll keep pumping out the same lines. Everything's fine. Everything's growing. Everything's on track. But numbers don't lie. When the real panic sets in, when sponsors start pulling their checks, when networks bump games to obscure streaming channels nobody's heard of, maybe, just maybe, someone will realize this all could have been avoided with 2 simple steps. Fire Engelbert. Fix the league instead. The WNBA will still be trying to convince you that their latest superstar is the next big thing. Spoiler, she's not, because here's the cold reality you can market. Hype and spin all you want, but you can't. Fake greatness. And if you keep driving greatness away, don't act surprised when all that's left is mediocrity wrapped in a glossy brochure.
Luana Bonner drama. We know that was a locker room situation, but guess what? They stayed the course. And that's what they got to do to make it to the WNBA championship. Ultimately, a lot of people have been boycotting for Caitlin Clark to not come back. With Ari McDonald down, Sydney coasting down. A lot of people feel like the depth isn't what it was. I feel like Caitlin Clark definitely need to come back. Sophie Cunningham, the way she's been balling, they'll be all right, man.
And when the inevitable State of the League press conference rolls around, it'll be a masterclass in unintentional comedy. Engelbert will stand at the podium, grinning like she just hit the jackpot while the league smolders behind her. She's boast about record-breaking engagement, even though the only viral clip that week will be Caitlin Clark dropping 40 in a EuroLeague playoff game for a team whose arena serves better coffee than most WNBA venues. The halftime show? Sponsored by a local car dealer, till the dealer pulls out, deciding a bowling league offers a better return on investment. Meanwhile, fans back home will be glued to Caitlin's European highlights, shaking their heads and muttering about how this all could have been avoided by that point. The WNBA won't even be panicking. They'll be numb, because when the best thing to happen to your league in decades is gone, all that's left is to look around, sigh, and wish someone had listened. The first time people started chanting, *fire, Engelbert, fire, Adam Silver,